And welcome inside the Backstage Pass. It is Monday. That means a new week of shows here on the Backstage Pass, of course, and of course presented by our friends over at Hank Jr. Productions and our friends at Bangtail Whiskey. Of course, the sponsors information is at the bottom of the screen. And pleased to welcome in. You might remember her. She had a huge hit called "Breakdown Here." Was a country music headliner back in 2004, and she's back with a new project here. It's a brand new album called "Ain't in No Hurry." Comes out nationwide October 28th. She's one of my favorites, and I'm pleased to welcome her to the show here live on the YouTube channel and at the sportsguyspodcast.com. The great Julie Roberts to the program. Julie, how you doing?
Hey, Brandon, how are you? I'm great. Thank you.
It's great to connect finally. And I tell you what, just talk to everybody out there, man. This is pretty cool. You've been through so much in your career, and I remember the song "Breakdown Here," 2004. I'm in college and I'm DJing radio at the same time and going through all this. And it said she is an elite artist. She's at the top of her game. And then, of course, I know music industry, that it takes you on a wild ride. How excited are you to get this music out into your fans' hands October 28th?
More excited than you would ever know. It has been a journey since 2004, a journey of ups and downs. Everybody lives them in life. And, I started, people thought I went away. I didn't. I was diagnosed with MS through there around the same time that I recorded my second album for Mercury called Men and Mascara. And I just kept that a secret because I was afraid to tell the music industry. And then 5 years after my diagnosis, I was working on what would be my third record for Mercury Records. And the flood, a 1,000-year flood came through Nashville, and we lost our home. Mama, I lived with Mama, my sister, and I lost our home to the flood, and we were rescued by boat. And I had my first really big MS relapse. And remember, I'd been keeping it a secret, but I couldn't anymore. I had a doctor who was trying to get me to take medications along the way. And I said, no, I'm fine. I thought, out of sight, out of mind, that it would go away. Well, it didn't. And the stress of the flood, and then when I told the music industry I had MS, I lost my record deal and booking agent, and because they were afraid I couldn't play shows and do what you do in this career. But I took control of my own life, and I started taking medications, and I'm in remission for that, number one. Number two, I put out 2 independent records, and then I booked myself for those records. And then one day while I was booking myself for those, I get this random email, which is not random, but at the time it felt random, from Shooter Jennings. And he said, we met years ago at a festival. And I remember the exact festival, meeting him. We were both on Universal at the time, and we were playing at a festival in Columbia, South Carolina. And he said, I've always loved your voice, and I don't know what happened to you, and or where you're at. And he said, my sister brought me this song and called "Why Can't I Have You?" And he said, and I thought of you right away. And I said, I'm gonna find her. And the only reason that I believed this email was because he included a name of a booking agent that we both worked with at one time. Gave him my email, and it was the correct email address. And so I wrote him back, and I said, Shooter, I said, yes, I remember meeting you, and I appreciate you writing to me. And I said, but, I went through the flood, and my car floated away. And when my State Farm check came for my car that floated away, I paid for 2 independent records that I put out myself, called Alive and a Christmas record. And I just am not in a place where I can pay for another record right now. And he said, I just want you to record this one song. So just get out to LA. If you can get out to LA, then let's just see what happens. And so I said, okay, I was going out there anyway, because I started doing some motivational speaking for others living with MS. I said, I'm coming out there for a speaking event, and I'll just stay. And we started with that song. That song was called "Why Can't I Have You?" And it's not on the record, but it was placed in the series, the show, The Ranch. And we just kept going. We kept recording, but we never had a plan, which I loved, because everything I'd ever done before was like always planned. And especially when you're on a major label, they have a lot of say-so in what you do in the studio. But with Shooter and the 9 songs that are on my album, the 9 songs that he did, we had fun. I mean, everything was different about the whole experience than what I had done before. Like in Nashville, there's set times that you record. Like you record from 10 to 1 and then 2 to 5. And like in the studio at certain times. Well, we were in the studio at 2 a.m., or at midnight. And we would I'd come in the studio and he'd say, well, after we recorded the first song, he said, what are you listening to right now? And this is where the Music City's Killing Me song came from. And I said, well, I'm listening to Ray LaMontagne and love his song, New York City's Killing Me. He said, well, I feel like you're out here because you told me you didn't think that you fit in the music that your music fits in Music City now. And I said, yeah. And you reached out and you said you got me and you got just understood what I do. And that's why I'm here. And he said, well, why don't we change it to Music City's Killing Me? And I said, okay, let's do that. And then I said, but I think it feels like it's a duet. And he said, well, I just can't, I don't want to sing that with you. And, and I said, well, somebody else that I kind of came up in the business with, and we were on Universal too, was, I said, he gets me like you do. And I played some benefit shows together. And I said, let's ask Jamie Johnson to join us on it. And he's the perfect voice for it. And so that's kind of like how, and then Ray LaMontagne, the original writer, liked it and let us do it. And I'm very grateful for that. But that's how all of our LA sessions went. We just did what we believed in and what we wanted to do. Like, I'm just going to tell you one more story.
Go ahead.
Another time. And again, this is over a period of 2 or 3 years of me going back and forth. And one time he said, he had been at his mom's house, and he said, I was going through my dad's stuff. And when you're a songwriter, sometimes you get ideas and you record them nowadays on your voice memos to save them to go back to later. But I remember my early writing days, I didn't have a voice memo on my phone, but I had the little tape recorders. And he said, I was through my dad's tape recorders, which his dad is Waylon Jennings, and he started this song, and all I have is the chorus, and I want to play it for you. And he said, and I want you to finish writing it, and let's put it on your record. And so all he played me was, fool, fool, don't be a fool, don't go swimming in the devil's pool. She'll pull you down, Mother Nature's rule, don't go swimming in the devil's pool. And he said, I don't know what he was thinking. And he said, that's all I have. He said, now go finish writing it. And so I knew, like Waylon and all of my heroes, Merle Haggard, they wrote story songs. So I said, well, I know it's got to be a story song. And so I went back to Nashville and worked on it, writing it in Nashville, brought it back to Shooter. He nailed the music writing like he felt like his dad would have done it. And to me, it sounds very Waylon, and I love it. And that's just another story of how Shooter and I approached this project. It was fun, and he would call it his first passion project because he did it not for the money. He did it because he believed in me, and we found these amazing gems of songs that I connected to, that he connected to, and then later back in Nashville, I connected with another one of my favorite writers, producers, Aaron Enderlin, who produced the last 5 tracks on the record to make it complete. And so it's had a journey, this album.
Yeah, there's so much on there about just the love lost, the redemption. I mean, roots, man, scattered in it too. Just almost to me, kind of just that smorgasbord of everything on there that everybody could really relate to, and just a life cycle. And like you said, adding those type of names to your powerhouse vocals really made this album stand out, just in my opinion.
Thank you so much. I'm very grateful for Jamie and Randy Houser for singing his part. Randy, I'd always been a fan of his song, Anything Goes. I have it. I listen to it all the time in my car still. And I remember when that song came out, I wrote a note to his producer. I don't even know if Randy knows this, and said, I love this. Congratulations on this song. And it just moved me that much. And then the song "A Little Crazy" is kind of nice that Randy sang on. I've had since the 2004 record. It was pitched to me back then, and I don't know if my label wouldn't let me do it or there wasn't enough room on the album, but I saved it all these years. And then I was back in Nashville, and I had the 9 songs from that Shooter did, and I was like, still got this one song, and I really wanted Randy to sing with me. And so I didn't know how to send a direct message on Instagram, but someone told me, my friend Brian, who helps me with my social media, I wrote it out for him. I said, can you please send this to Randy on direct message and then teach me how to do it? And so he did. And I just said, hey, I'm finishing a project that Shooter started, and I'm finishing it in Nashville. Would you, and there's a song I would love for you to sing on it, if you like it and if it connects with you. And he wrote back and he said, here's my email, send me the song. And so I sent him the song, and he said he wanted to do it and he liked it. And so now I know how to direct message though, but but that's how, I mean, like you said, you just got to figure out, how to get, and I'm so grateful because his voice is it's still so amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to go to my audience here because I love Jan. She always tunes in over in Australia. She's one of my avid viewers and listeners out there. She says, I'm a true believer of the right place at the right time, and everything happens for a reason. Just like you getting that initial email and where it took you. Just amazing. Thank you, Jan, for tuning in too. And of course, Randy Houser in Melbourne a couple of years ago. Yeah, he's one of the best out there. And just the vocals and that particular song and that particular track, I love it so much. And it made me feel like with you working with 2 gentlemen like that, Jamie Johnson and Randy Houser, you're paying tribute to traditional country music out there, and it just feels good because those elements are never being forgotten about the late 80s to early 90s country tunes that I grew up with and growing up on. I say the right music, but I always say it's one of the best eras and it'll probably never be duplicated. That had to mean a lot to you to pay tribute to traditional country music and its elements during that time on this album.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I love. I love traditional country. In my house, what I listen to, what my son listens to, is Merle Haggard, and I just play traditional country music, and that's now. I mean, that's who I am truly, and I was able to be that. I was able to be me on this record, and pay the, like you said, the tribute. Jesse Coulter wrote a song for this record. I think
Yep.
There's another song called Easy Street that was the Shooter also. He sent to me on a cell phone. He sent me a couple of songs on a cell phone recording. It was once recorded by Johnny Cash. Then Jesse recorded it years later, and it never came out. And so he sent it to me, and I loved it. Easy Street. And so that's where that came from. So there's so many of these stories of, like you said, the traditional elements and getting back to those with the fiddle and the steel guitar too, even the instrumentation. But for me, it's the lyrics and the feel of the songs. That is why I have always loved country music, and in particular, the country music from my heroes, the traditional artists.
And you couldn't have said it any better than that. Growing up on the right music and those traditional artists that even today, I was so happy to see Keith Whitley finally get into the Country Music Hall of Fame, and just so many things that continue to happen in the great music city that it is out there. And of course, we'll be back. Speaking of Music City, I'll be back there March 13th to 15th. Got to get that in for CRS 2023. Excited about that, to be there for those 4 days. If you're taking part in that, feel free to come on out and hang with us, and we'll have a good time out there at the Omni Hotel. It's always fun when I get to go there because there's always new restaurants and new things that I didn't do last time that I'm going to get to do the next time too as well, which is great out there. We got to take a quick time out. More on the record again coming out there October the 28th. We're going to break down some more tracks with the great Julie Roberts here. Ain't in No Hurry is the record. It's coming out again October the 28th. We'll break down some tracks. We'll take a time out for our sponsors over at Bangtail Whiskey. Come back with the great Julie Roberts. It is the Backstage Pass. Stay tuned.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here on the show on the Backstage Pass, of course, coming up here in a few weeks, we'll talk with Mark Vandermeer, the voice of the Houston Texans, get all the football news there. And, of course, coming out this week, we did catch up with Mike Hoss, the voice of the New Orleans Saints. We'll talk Saints football, Texans football, and maybe some Cowboy football here in a few weeks. Coming up also, Lori Morgan, and also here in a few weeks, we'll talk with the great David Frizzell here on the show here on the Backstage Pass. Back here with the great Julie Roberts, again, nationwide, October 28th is the album and title track, Ain't in No Hurry. We appreciate the time today, and thanks for joining us here. Let's start with that track. I want to break down a few tracks here. That one first, and we'll go to one of my favorites, Don't Call Me Baby, which was really, really good on the album. Let's talk about the title track, Ain't in No Hurry, and kind of the I guess the big story behind that one.
Okay, so that song was written by Erin Enderlin, and she's who produced the last 5 tracks on the record for me in Nashville. And I reached out to her. I'd written with her years before. And so I reached out to her and asked, would she produce the Randy track? And she said, yeah. She says, that all you want to do is one song? Because remember, I said that they're in Nashville, it's like sessions, blocks. Mm-hmm. She said, because it's cheaper if you go ahead, you've already got the musicians there and the time. Do you want to record more? I said, well, yeah, that makes sense. And so, she's a brilliant songwriter. And she said, well, I'm going to send you some songs. And because I said, I think I have a couple, but send me some. And so the first one she sent me was Ain't in No Hurry, which is the title track. And I was pulled into this song, the first 2 lines. And I'm going to tell you what the first 2 lines are. Right now, I'm as young as I'll ever be. All the life that I've got left is right in front of me. And when I heard this too, that was just like where I'm at in life. Beginning of my career, everything was moving so fast. Mm-hmm. And I think I enjoyed it, but I didn't get to really live in the moments because they were going so fast. And when I look back, I say, yeah, I did that and I did that, but do I really remember it? Do I really remember how I felt in that moment? And now, all these years later, I have this record. And when I heard that song about, now I'm not going to live in a hurry. I'm going to enjoy the moments that I have left in this life. I don't know how much longer I have left. Mm-hmm. I hope it's forever. I had a long time since I have a 14-month-old boy. But I'm enjoying every moment with him. I'm enjoying every moment with my family, with my husband. And that's the kind of thing. Sometimes when life is just so busy, you don't get to, or you just forget to enjoy each moment. And so that's why that song connected with me, because I feel like have another chance to enjoy this and to really live in each moment. Even talking to you right now about it, like enjoying this moment. It's not just an interview. It's like I'm enjoying it, and I'm doing it because I want to. Mm-hmm. And not all the songs on the record I recorded because I liked them, not just somebody was telling me to record it. You know what I mean?
No, and that's why I enjoy listening to the record, because I'm telling people, once you get this October 28th nationwide, wherever you download or stream music or wherever you purchase out there too, or get you a hard copy, or get that link we put out there on our Twitter feed and social media. We put the pre-order link, a signed autographed copy, which I definitely have to get one from her because she's one of my favorites out there. Definitely have to get a signed copy from you. Yeah. We'll talk about that off the air too. But this record is so good. I'm telling people that I get my stuff weeks in advance before the album comes out. And if I've listened to something and I put my stamp on it, you guys better go get this record, because I'm telling you right now, it has something for everybody out there, young and old, or like you said, not really old. I mean, I shouldn't use that word, but as young as you think you are, no doubt. Right. And age just being a number, but Ain't in No Hurry. You guys need to go get this record October 28th nationwide out there. Let's talk about Don't Call Me Baby, because again, I know this was really cool to work with Erin on this project and produce that particular track too. And I loved it just because that really took me back to this Sarah Evans kind of Martina McBride kind of feel Faith Hill back in the 90s. When you go back and you hear a song like that, you're like, man, that's such a beautiful ballad. And you really put a stamp on that too.
You know what's funny about this, and I haven't been able to tell a story about this song, was when we were in the studio, that was one of the ones that Aaron said, I'm gonna send you a few of my songs, and it was on the list to get to. But then I found a song that I had written years ago, and I said, let's do this song that I wrote, and if we have time, we'll get to that one. Well, we had time, but we almost didn't do that song, and to me, that it's one of my favorites on the record. Mm-hmm. And when I play it live, and then when it was up for the single, when people were streaming it at first, they were like, this could have fit on your first album. And I agree with that. It's like a natural progression from the first album to now this record. I don't know. I just love it. And I've heard different stories from women. One, like the song says, don't call me baby because you ain't my man. And she's out on the, in my mind, she's out and she's just wants this time with herself, have her cocktail, and some guy's talking to her, and she said, don't call me baby because you ain't my man. You ain't my man. Well, I played the show. I played it at one of the first times, and a lady came up to me and she said, you know what? I don't know why you recorded that song. She said, but that song to me, she said, I just lost my husband. She said, and I went out and some guy called me baby. And she said, I said, I'm not your baby. And I just think that there's so many ways that people can connect to all of these songs, but I had never thought about it for that one. And now when I sing it, I think about the lady that I met at my show. And so, I mean, would you have ever thought of that?
I never would have thought, I mean, probably not in a time and place like that. There's a time and place for everything, but
right.
And a story that you can always now have that's authentic, and you can tell everybody out there that a song really means that much to sing. And that's the real reason we all go to shows, is to get away from life's troubles and have a little drink and just enjoy ourselves and have a good time. Right. And just to hear the music that we like. And that's the thing I think is so great about what you do, and what you've done since 2004. And I followed your career so closely, as you put out things that people can relate to and resonate with. And it's very authentic. And that's what I love about your storytelling and your songs. I really do.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm glad that we got to that song, because I don't think the album would be complete without it. And, we played it in Arkansas Saturday, and I was like, people were already singing it, so they must have been streaming it since it's been out, and it made me so happy. But
you should be, no doubt. There was another one that many of them that caught my attention. Just the ones I'm bringing up here for the show here, all by my damn self. And I was had to put an emphasis on that one too, no doubt. What's the backstory of this one?
Okay, so another shooter story. I got to the studio again. We didn't have a plan, and he said, I'm really close with Mama, and always have been, and I have two sisters, and she worked hard to raise us, always working, and she still works. I'm not going to tell you her age. She's 70 several, and and she still works full time, and that's just all she's ever known. And she worked hard to raise us girls. And so Shooter said, write a song about. He said, go back to your hotel. This was always made me nervous when he would tell me he would challenge me, which now I'm grateful for these challenges. He said, you need to write a woman's anthem, and think about your mom and what she did for you and your sisters. And he said, you work hard. And so that's where this song, All by My Damn Self, came from. It's about Mama and her story. And Shooter also said, you need to make it a woman's anthem. It needs to be like a panty dropper song. I don't know what he meant, but I will never forget him saying that. And so I told Mama that, and I don't know, maybe one day off the air you can tell me what he meant. But when we play it live, the women like it, because there are so many single moms out there raising doing all they can and doing great jobs at it. And it's for not just single moms, but it's for all the hardworking women out there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful track. Again, it's and honestly, you've got to show a little grit and a little grime and a little bit of just that killer instinct of what ladies do, because it's people know now it's a powerhouse female lineup that are kicking ass and taking names. I'm not afraid to say it. Some of them I've had here on the show and CMT's Next Women of Country and things that I've done here that are huge. It's just kind of cool to see that movement now that we may not have had in the last 20 years, which was at least in my mind back in the radio days, was a male dominated industry, but so many great females that are doing their thing out there and they're doing it independently, right?
Right. Exactly. Thankfully we can. And, and it's definitely, I'm learning this new way of putting out music. But it's fun. When I was in the studio with Randy, he was talking about it with me and I was like, so you're independent too? We're both independent artists now. And he said, yeah. And he said, you know what's great about it, Julie? He said, is that we can record a song today, put it out next Friday. He said, you can do what you want now. And he said, and if it's good, people will find it. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, it's fun. And I mean, I've had so much fun making the record. I hope that people find it. I mean, it doesn't have the big label behind it, but to me, this label wouldn't have happened if it weren't for God intervening in my life in many ways, and He's in charge of it. And I'm just glad it's here. I'm glad He brought Shooter into my life, and Jamie, and Randy, and then Aaron, and Mama, so that I could write a woman's anthem song.
Well, I got to ask you about this one, then we're going to talk about a couple of more songs off the record too. But I want to go back a little bit to break down here. I'm sure it's one of the ones you guys still put in a set list today, but you still get comments and people telling you after all these years they've had personal connections and meaning with the song, because it has so many multiple meanings there. But we've all been through life in a certain way where this has happened to everybody out there. And for you, did you guys, I guess when y'all stepped in the studio there some odd 17, 18 years ago, whatever it is now, did you kind of feel like you had something special back then too?
Yeah. So back then, before I even had the record deal, I went to the Bluebird Cafe and heard the songwriter Jason Matthews perform this. And I said to myself, when and if I ever get a record deal, I'm going to record that song. Mm-hmm. So when I was signed to, or when I started working with my producer at night, when I still had my day job then, recording, I got that song and I played it for Brent Rowan. And even before I had my record deal, that song was special to me. And it's been 18 years and I never get tired of singing that song. And I never get tired of people telling me after the shows what that song in particular, or any song, means to them. And they still connect to it. Mm-hmm. So I'm very grateful for that song. I'm grateful I heard it that night at the Bluebird, and that to me, it's just, if I'm not tired of singing it after 18 years, it just doesn't get old to me. And I just think it's a story that, again, it's a story of people's lives, and people connect to the real lyrics and the real stories. And so
I still love the ending of it too, the way you guys closed it and the way it came up in that song, because you never forget Mile Marker 215. I just love the fact that it's one of my favorite country songs of all time. Again, back to the record, I want to kind of with these two, let's break down a couple of tracks that really stuck out to me. Again, October 28th, Ain't in No Hurry is again, Julie Roberts' new album nationwide. Make sure you guys go grab that wherever you download or stream music. We're also going to put the link up there in our socials out there on the Backstage Pass, where you guys can pre-order autograph copies and things such as that. Easy Street. Let's break down Easy Street.
Okay. So you liked Easy Street, huh?
I did a lot. Yes.
So I did too. I do too. And I'll tell you the story behind that. Again, I was in the studio with Shooter. I loved our process, because this is how, I think sometimes this is just how it should work. Like he said, it was around the same time where he had been going through his dad's stuff. And he said there was a song on a record of my mom's, Jessie Coulter, that she recorded, and the record was never released. And I'm going to, he had a record of it, but so he's at his mom's house and he recorded on his voice memo of his phone the record playing the Easy Street. And I loved it. And it was originally recorded by Johnny Cash. So there's another traditional element. So you can find his version of it too out there somewhere. But so Shooter brought that to me. He said, I always loved it. And I don't know why they would never release my mom's record in this.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love for you to record it, and let's make it how you would want to make it. And so it came from him and his mom's record. And the same guys that wrote Lukenbach, Texas, wrote Easy Street. And I don't know, it's a special song for me too. It always was. The lyrics, after I recorded it, I used to be, because it says, the first line, I'm feeling a little restless, James, warm up the limousine and take me to the top of some old mountain and let me out. And I used to say, I wish I had a James. Just take me where I wanted him to take me. But I mean, I don't know. It's a special song to me, and not just the history of who sung it and where it's been, but the lyrics and what it said. And that's always what I connect to.
It's a great album. Again, make sure you guys check it out. October 28th. Ain't in No Hurry, the title track there, and the title of the album, Don't Call Me Baby. The Devil's Pool. The one, of course, with Jamie Johnson, Music City's Killing Me, All By My Damn Self. All By My Damn Self. Do Ya, and of course, Easy Street. The last one I'll break down. I'm going to do some rapid fire with you here in just a second, too, because I love the fact we can get to know you more on a personal side. Okay. Big Moon. Big Moon stuck out to me a lot, too, as well. There's got I always say, behind every song's a great story, so Big Moon had to be right there, too, right?
I'm writing this down because I just like to know that when something.
You can use this as quotes from me too. So put it in your music, whatever you want to do. I'll give you reviews of the album, and glad to give quotes on it. It did stick out to me, no doubt.
Thank you. So Shooter, he said, I went to the show. Okay, again, I was back and forth to LA a few times, or over a few years, a lot of times working, and he said when we got together, he said, hey, I just went to this show at Joshua Tree. And he said, and I heard this guy singing this song. And again, he recorded it on his phone. And he said, and I thought about you immediately. He said, I'm glad I recorded it. And it's a guy named John Doe. And I didn't know who John Doe was. And I looked it up, and we made our own version of the song. But Shooter heard it at his show, and that's where it came from. I wish it was another story, but he was at a concert as a fan and heard it and said, Julie needs to sing this song. And I've been singing that song since we started making the record, because as soon as we recorded it, I wanted to play it live. It's just a fun one to play live. And so it's been around a long time. I've been singing it, and I sing it at every single show.
Well, I can't wait to get out there and see the show, no doubt. She's come close to Louisiana or Texas. We're going to be there, the Backstage Pass team, again, have a good time out there and really just take some photos, some videos, and do the things that we do when we get a chance to go to a lot of live shows out there, too. All right, let's do a little rapid fire, and sometimes it's not rapid. It does take a little thought to some questions that we do ask you as well. So favorite Julie Roberts cuisine, food, whether you cook or have takeout, and then to go along with that, if it's the food you like, say it's pizza or something like that, is there a good glass of wine or a good beverage with that food?
Okay. Beverage I'll do first. I like a martini. Oh. I used to be a wine person, a more Cabernet kind of person. I like bold, but then when I got married, my husband introduced me to martinis. He's a gin martini guy. I'm a vodka martini girl. And so I would say that's my drink of choice. Okay. I'm gonna sit with a favorite food. I don't know. Every place I go, my husband would tell you that every restaurant, if they have guacamole on the menu, then I order it, because if the question is guacamole, the answer is always yes. I just always like to try everyone's guacamole. I love Mexican food. I love lasagna, though. I don't know. I don't know. I love all kinds of foods.
Everything.
All right, what's is good with a vodka martini?
That's a good thing. Put a good drink with it; it'll taste just the same. All right, last show Julie Roberts got to binge watch, what was it?
Yellowstone in 1883.
Very good choices, no doubt. Love that one too.
Love it.
First car you ever owned?
A Nissan 200.
Ooh, look at that. Sometimes it takes. All right, the title. If you don't remember the title of this, the title or what was the song about? The title of the first song you ever wrote, or if you don't remember the title, what was the song about?
It was I don't know. It wasn't good. It
wasn't good.
If it was good, I would have remembered it.
Some of those like written. Some artists tell me written on napkins and thrown in the trash. It wasn't any good. So there you go. That's
no, it wasn't good. I promise you.
All right. Favorite toppings on pizza and favorite ice cream.
Favorite ice cream. I'm kind of a chocolate girl.
Okay,
I don't do a lot of sweets. I do more salty, but if I do ice cream or sweets, I love chocolate, and I love chocolate peanut butter combined. And then what was one right before that?
Toppings on pizza. Favorite toppings.
Pizza. I like about everything. Everything on pizzas. I leave off the olives if possible.
Me too. I'm not an olive person. No, I do not have that. Just like in salads, I can't stand it when I eat salads and the olives are just sprinkled. I'm like, just without olives and without tomatoes, two of my just nemesis. I cannot do in a salad. All right, we'll finish up with this one too. Remind people again, Ain't in No Hurry is the album, October 28th. Make sure you guys set your plans. Several people in the margin have already told me they're going to get the record. Jan, thank you so much. And of course, Rick and just everybody who's going to get the record. Lorraine from Alabama, thank you so much for tuning in. All right, we'll do this one. If Julie Roberts could portray a character in a movie, I guess either coming out or already out in previous years, what character and why?
God. And the thing about me is I don't remember movies. When I started, just a quick, because I know this is supposed to be rapid fire, and I'm not.
You're good.
So when I first started dating my now husband, he was like asking me. He has two older daughters, and he's like, "So have you seen? They love these Disney movies." I said, "I know Platoon, and I know Full Metal Jacket. I watched what my dad watched." And so, I mean, those are the kind of movies that I grew up on, Predator and stuff. He's like, oh my gosh. But I should choose like a romantic comedy, I'm sure, being a female. Pretty Woman.
Okay, I like that. There you go.
Everybody says Julia anyway. Why not go ahead and just be her one time and just, have somebody like in the Easy Street, James takes her in the limousine. Have somebody take you shopping. What girl wouldn't want that?
That's what makes this album so great. It's real, authentic. It's roots. It's country, and it's love, loss, redemption. It makes it for everything out there. Make sure you guys plan on downloading, streaming, or purchasing that wherever you download, stream music nationwide. October 28th. Ain't in No Hurry from the great Julie Roberts. Julie, been fantastic. Finally connecting here on the program. Looking forward to come to see you on tour, and then definitely if we get to Nashville there in March for CRS 2023, looking forward to catching up. And so nice to meet you, and congratulations on the perseverance and just a long, great career in music, and people like myself that know you out there. Terrific voice, love your music, and just Godspeed, and definitely best of luck with this new record.
Thank you. I hope we see you sooner than later, sooner than March.
That'd be great.
Fun. I would love it.
No doubt. JulieRoberts.com. Make sure you guys go get an autographed copy too as well. And we'll put the links up in our social media. Tomorrow, we'll see you on the Backstage Pass again, about 4 o'clock here. We'll see who we have. Thanks to Hank Jr. Productions and our friends over at Bangtail Whiskey. We'll see you guys soon.